Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Green World is Possible. It's an online candidate forum. I'm very happy to announce that we have some great candidates here to introduce you to. I'm just going to go around and just get everyone announce themselves, give themselves a 1 to 2 minute opening statement. Then we're going to go into a round of questions and answers, and we'll see how time works out. Maybe we'll get several questions so we find out about all these great candidates and why they're running, what inspired them to be Greens and run for office as a Green, and what they hope to do when they get elected.
So my name is Stephen Boyle. I am a Green Party candidate for Michigan's House District 3, which is in Northeast Detroit. Um, it's a rather interesting district. About 97.3% of the people are black in this district. Um, I have settled here for about 3 years now. Been working an awful lot in a troubled space as far as trying to recognize, shall we say, colonist attitudes walking in on those people that consider themselves indigenous in this space. One of the things that I've been bringing in that conversation is that we must practice respect. Respect is the underpinning of so much of what we do, and it requires listening. We can't just walk in and assume that we're respecting by opening our mouths and saying, this is what I see is needed here. Because the way things are is not evident always. As a person in Northeast Detroit, I recognize that we have a huge digital divide. Over 40% of half of my district do not have residential internet access, and their mobile access gets capped at a certain data limit, which some people can't afford much more than 500 megabytes of data in a month, which is very little. Um, so their opportunity to connect and be part of a digital age is sorely missing. And here we've had the internet since 1994. It's appalling that we're so far behind right now in this third district of Detroit, of Michigan, or Detroit. No, it's Michigan. Sorry, but our we have so many issues. I am a person that definitely supports the four key values, the four pillars, and the 10 key values. Peace is something that respect is going to bring into our lives. Um, Ecology, I've worked for ecological justice by getting pet coke removed from the riverfront, seeing that whole effort that if Detroit can remove a dirty, toxic oil substance from uh, illegal dumping to something that's literally got an ordinance passed that's far more progressive than any of the surrounding communities, we've actually done some good work. And that takes working with our residents and working with the laws as they exist and stating where the law is not being followed. When it comes to social justice, I started learning so much of this through the Occupy movement back in 2011. I've been involved in so many of the justice efforts of this city, including fighting against the municipal bankruptcy that Detroit went through and doing the research that many of the people in my group really valued, that I could bring forward the written words that people had written or spoke or had email exchanges, and piecing the parts together, because my background is in computers and systems. So what I'm applying is a social justice warrior is that knowledge of how systems work and how they fail. And when you got bad information in there, you're just going to continue propagating bad information. So when it comes to democracy, I do believe that every one of our people needs to have a voice. I want to have town hall meetings in my district on a regular basis, go from park to park, bring people out of their houses and talk with them. It's so vital that we have conversations about the real needs that are presented before us as representatives. So, uh, my website, just to start things off, is stephenboylenow.com. It's STEPHENBOYLENOW. I've got it all plastered up in my background here. You can see it pretty easily if you're able to view the video. Um, I look forward to the conversation that we're about to have. Thank you, Mr. Lane, for inviting. I appreciate that so much.
And I wanted to know if you could share experiences on your current campaign, because now we're campaigning during a time of COVID. You can't. It's not as easy to go out and get out the vote and shake hands with people and all that kind of stuff and raise money the way you used to. Just want to find out how you're dealing with the current struggles with campaigning during this time. Also, along with COVID, we also have the other plague of people trying to get Donald Trump out of the office. No matter what office you're running for, they're gonna find a way that we're gonna if you're running for like dog catcher, they're like, yeah, but if we vote for you for dog catcher, Trump's gonna win. So it's just so ridiculous. People are so brainwashed right now. So just wanted to know if you could share some of your stories from the campaign trail.
Um, the one thing that happened just before, right after Michigan's primary, Facebook announced that they were going to do a political survey and offer people the ability to opt out of Facebook access for 1 to 6 weeks, which basically brings them right back 1 week before the general election. That means my audience for any digital marketing was completely taken away from me, or I shouldn't say completely, but those that opted to no longer get ads no longer were getting any kind of ads through Facebook, which is one of my primary platforms digitally. Now, I did mention that I'm suffering from a digital divide. Um, so, in that gap of access digitally, I'm producing buttons like this one, and trying to produce and get those around on the street, as well as my campaign lawn signs, and get those placed into very good spots. So for visibility, for people that don't have internet access, the problem I've got with my signs is half my signs have literally been picked up and removed by unknown parties, and I have no idea how that is uh, happening, but it is against the law as far as removing political signs from visibility. Um, one of the you asked us to go after some more things as far as closing statements. Um, one thing that I'm very keyed on is taking care of the fight for our poor people in this city. We have so much oppression. Our children are supposed to take classes online, and yet if so many people don't have access, how are they going to take classes? How are people going to find work? And our transit system, thankfully, they've lifted the fees on it. However, our east west buses across the Detroit area don't operate on a very good schedule, oftentimes can be found missing. And that becomes a difficult thing for access to jobs as well as any opportunity that you're looking for travel. Um, so I'm curious what's going on with our ballot, or I'm sorry, our polling places. Our polling places have been in an upheaval since the March. Uh, the pandemic basically switched people's polling place. March we had our early prime or the presidential runoff, and then we had our primary on August 4th. The August 4th primary was not in the same polling places as people normally would find them, and this general election also is not in a typical place either. The good thing that Detroit has done has opened up 30 ballot boxes across the city and 23 locations where people can literally walk in, change their address, register to vote, and vote all in one visit. So I really want people to realize early voting is a very real thing within Detroit. It's an awesome opportunity to get people voting. Um, my biggest concern right now with this whole divide of our poor people is they just they don't know how is the city actually getting the information to them. One, that a polling place has changed. Two, that you do have access to early voting, because a lot of our the literature that we get out from the city it doesn't show up that often, and some people they don't check their mail very well. And I'm going to be honest with that. It doesn't happen. Suburban America is very different than urban America, especially our most poor communities. Many of us don't have a car. We don't have good insurance rates. Redlining is highly, uh, it's definitely happening all around Detroit. People are having to spend more on having a vehicle in their driveway than on a house. And our housing stock right now is going through the Detroit Land Bank, and we've had over taxation of $6 million on our property taxes over the past 5 or 6 years. Now, on top of that, they want to do a demolition and rebuild proposal, but the problem with that is the slush fund that has been used is going to try to be moved from the land bank entity and into the city of Detroit. And Detroit, thank you to our independent reporting journalists, won the Golden Padlock Award for the secrecy that our mayor has put our city under. We need to break through that padlock. We need to get transparency. And one of the things that myself, if I am elected as our state representative for the 3rd District, I'll be putting a camera in my office, and every lobbyist that wants to walk into my office is going to be on camera, and everybody's going to know what's going on through my office, and I'm going to talk with people. And nobody's going to want to walk into my office, but they're going to have to deal with me on the floor. So please, my website is Stephen Boyle. It's StephenBoyle now.com. And I'll tell you, my strategy is a little more long-term. I did run in 2014 for U.S. Congress in the 14th District. I lost on that race. I came back a few years later now. My strategy is this year state representative, next year possibly city council, and then the following year state representative again. I'm determined. It's time for representation to happen, and I think I could be that best representative for our people. Better than the millionaire that moved as a carpetbagger into Detroit to take an office. I'm facing a millionaire, and I'm a pauper. My pandemic money is what I'm running on in this campaign. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time, and I really, really want to see you all get elected and in office. And like you said, it's so important to have the Green Party running for office and getting elected to help push those policies to, move everything in the direction it should be, because the Democrats aren't doing it. They haven't been doing it for the last 20 years, and their only campaign platform is "we're not the Republicans," and it's just not acceptable now the way the world is going. So thank you once again, and I hope to talk to you in person one day.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thank you. I had a good time, and I enjoyed listening to you all, and I thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And if we can all get to the House and get to the Senate and get to our respective office, can you imagine the change that we could make in Washington with the people who are on here and Lisa Savage going to, oh my God, like I think that things could happen. Like we could do some real good in Washington as Greens. So I'm going to be, as a minister, I'm going to be praying for you and myself. And I'm just, thank you so much. It was nice meeting you all.
Good luck to everyone.
Yes, yes. Great meeting you all and hearing from you.
Thank you much.
Okay. See you, everyone.